which youths face. But having said that, challenges are there to be overcome, and I can say that coming from the largest political party, led by President Hakainde Hichilema, the incoming President of the Republic of Zambia, I can say that the UPND is very much committed to not only adopting youth candidates, but also empowering these candidates, not only in terms of finances, but also in terms of skills empowerment. We have a robust training program for the youths in the UPND in order to ensure that we build leaders, not just cadres who are going to take over leadership position for the purposes of looting Mukula, for the purposes of inflating contracts, fire tenders, roads, name it. No, we want leaders, young leaders who are going to be responsible. And finally, Comrade Moderator, I do not believe that age itself or being young is a qualification for leadership. I'm one of the young people who are against those young people who think that being young is a qualification for leadership. No. The qualification for leadership is the idea, the commitment, and the zeal that you exhibit as a youth who wants to participate in the development of a country. Being young without ideas does not qualify you to be a leader. But being young with zeal and progressive ideas to change your country qualifies you for leadership.
Your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Gregory, the same question. Are young people's contribution to the well-being of political parties being respected? Are you, as young people, as a young person in the movement for multi-party democracy, New Hope, contributing positively to the well-being of the New Hope movement for multi-party democracy?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I think I standing here myself is testimony enough that the youths in the MMD under the leadership of Dr. Neva Sakwila Mumba are contributing positively to the party. I am the Deputy National Secretary. I'm the youngest Deputy National Secretary in the Republic of Zambia. So that speaks volumes of the faith and hope that President Mumba and the senior leadership of the party have in the MMD. We, as the MMD, have not just stopped on me, because I know some parties will be like, no, you're the only youth. We can brag that we have over 30% representation of youths at the National Executive Committee. Some parties do not. Some parties, even their youth chairmen are not youth. Maybe they might be youth at heart, but they're not youth at age. Just about 2 months ago, we were celebrating 30 years of the MMD. 30 years ago, I was born. So I'm practically a baby of the MMD. So in honor of that, we are the only party so far that has announced that we are creating a quota for our youth candidates. 50% of our candidates next year will be youths. This is partially to honor the 30 years of the MMD, which will be 31 next year. And what we've done, we've gone a step further. We have set up an institute, a leadership institute called the New Hope Institute. This is a follow-up of the FTJ Institute of Politics and Democracy. I believe, second from the University of Zambia, the New Hope Movement for Multi-Party of Democracy, MMD, is the most institution with persons of political experience and political science. We have a number of people in our party who have served the party in various roles in this country, who are willing to share their experience and knowledge to the next generation, which includes myself. I can tell you that before I took up my role, I was the person who was in my office, or the average age of the person who was Deputy SG of MMD was 60, and I'm half that age. So you can tell from afar that in the New Hope MMD, the youths are respected, and the youths in the MMD are not tools of violence, they are partners of development. There are a number of initiatives that we are doing. I can tell you that whenever we are sitting down as a National Executive Committee, the input of the youths is highlighted or is respected. So I can stand up on an ante and say that the youths in the MMD are partners of development, and the youths in the MMD are the major ingredients which will make MMD bounce back into power. I can tell you that the MMD is the largest party by membership. Why am I saying so? If you throw a stone in any direction in this country, it will land near an MMD member or sympathizer.
Unfortunately, your stone has landed on time. And thank you so much, Gregory, for your contribution. You've thrown the stone, and the stone has landed on time. Victor, you are working in the office of the president of NAREP when it comes to strategies. Now, And you were also adopted as a candidate to contest in a by-election at parliamentary level. You've said young people indeed have the muscle and they can influence. How significant can be your influence in a political party without financial muscles? Mainda has just mentioned, say, he came walking. And in these politics, you've got big, big people with financial muscles. How are you going to compete with people who have got money? Looking at you as young people, you don't have money.
Right, thank you very much. That's an interesting question. But let me state from the outset that that notion that politics, the major challenge in youth or young people's participation in politics is finances, is really a creation of bad political practices in the country. All right, and unfortunately, it's Africa-wide. We saw Finland boasting of a very young cabinet. But to delve into the question, to say entirely that lack of funds is going to derail my aspirations would not be right, because I can tell you that from the projections that the Electoral Commission of Zambia has made, that they are going to register 9 million voters. From that 9 million voters, about 4.2 million of those voters are expected to be below the age of 32. All right? So, we also realize that the people that have been participating in politics have decided to continue participating in politics regardless of the expiry of the ideas that they have to bring forth on the political platform to move the country forward. So, as a young person, I will leverage my strength. The first strength that I have as a young person is the ideas that are in tandem with a dispensation. That is point number one. Number two, I can tell you that one of the best platforms that we are going to use, even in the 2021 general elections and probably beyond, is the digital media, okay, social media. Now, who is good at this social media? The young people. I do not think that if I decide to go on social media and explain my ideas and try to convince the youth, and another man whose only power to woo voters is his money, that person is going to defeat me. No. Let me further state that even though I am a young person, and to the young people there, it's very important not to be limited by the resources. We in NAREP believe in the brain muscle, and we say that Zambians will develop Zambia. And who are the Zambians? The young, because they form the major majority. They form the majority of both the voter population and the national population. So we are going to leverage our power. Let them come with money, we will use our ideas.
Thank you so much. Mainda, the issue of financial muscles or financial challenges, Victor says that is just a perception. That is just a perception. And you talked about young people with brains, young people with ideas, but ideas without money, he says it's just a perception. Is it true that you can still contribute and change the dimension of a political landscape without money? Because Victor says it's just a perception.
Thank you very much for that interesting question, Comrade Moderator. And I would like to agree and disagree at the same time with my colleague from NAREP here. Let me start by saying that politics, African politics, we are not talking about politics in the United States or politics in the Scandinavia countries where you have the youngest cabinet serving. We are talking about African politics, Comrade Fokolo. you're talking about politics that is in the midst of poverty. Politics in the midst of poverty, Comrade Fokolo, is a very different ballgame altogether. Because when you have a situation where you have over 80% of your population who are in abject poverty, and we are talking about a country like Zambia, which is the 4th hungriest country in the world. It is still maintaining that record, by the way. They don't mention these things because the current leadership is ashamed, because you find that we are only behind Chad, Central African Republic, and Madagascar. And we're talking about these are war-torn countries. But what's the excuse for Zambia being 4th hungriest? If it were in football, it would be in the World Cup semi-finals. But away from that, the emphasis I'm trying to put forward here is that when you have a country that is one of the poorest countries in the world, not by design, but by poor management, what you end up having is that each time you're going to have any kind of political activity, there'll be people who'll be asking for transport. There'll be people who'll be asking to be fed. There'll be people who'll be asking you to sort out their problems home. And as a leader, whether you like it or not, in African, Zambian politics to be specific, they look up to you. But these are challenges that we have to overcome as young people. And to say that you don't even need a cent to participate in Zambian politics is a lie. Because only about 3 months ago, we were battling with the ECZ about the hiked nomination fees. It starts with nomination fees. But beyond nomination fees, you also have mobilization costs. You need to move from point A to point B. I just told you to say that I had to get on a bus coming to this program at short notice. Those are costs. Maybe you might need to travel out of Lusaka altogether. So the reality is that politics in Zambia, and in particular in poverty-stricken countries, has a huge cost and a bearing on the effect of young people to participate. More so if you are participating in politics as a young person in the opposition. Opposition politics in Zambia is the hardest, I'm telling you. It's self-sacrifice. Once you are a young person and you're a politician in the opposition, just know that you'll never get a government job. Just know that if you're a teacher, you will never be deployed in government. Even if you're in the private sector, like the way I was in the private sector at Standard Chartered, you just have to resign before you're chucked out. Because corporates don't want to mix with politics. The government won't accept you because you're opposition. Your qualification will just be sitting like that on the shelf, gathering dust as young people. Meanwhile, you have to earn at least a minimum income for you to be able to drive your political activity. I'm afraid that at the moment we don't have a law in Zambia that empowers young people to stand. But those are the challenges that we have to face, and that is why we continue appealing to government, we continue appealing to people, our fellow young people, to say, please, when you see us, don't think we've got money, we are millionaires to cash out money, but help us in trying to lead.
Gregory, the issue of young people having financial muscles in order for them to influence their participation in political parties and the nation at large, Victor says that is just a perception. Young people can still influence with or without financial muscles. Mainda says politics, especially in those that are in the opposition, all of you are from the opposition political parties. He says that is the hardest thing. You can't survive or you can't influence without money. You need money. Your take on that?
I think speaking from the MMD, I think we believe that yes, money is a factor, but if money was truly a factor, I think we as MMD would not have lost in 2011. We lost to a party that had no money, no logistics, a party that had no message, a party that had no banners at all. What did they have? They just had simple propaganda. I myself, for me to get elected as deputy national...
Are you saying young people should invest in propaganda?
No. I'm not saying young people should invest in propaganda. What let me first throw that stone. What I'm saying is that young people should believe in themselves. Young people should have a message. For I to be elected as a deputy national secretary of the MMD, I never spent even one kwacha. Again, it depends which party or which region you're from. In the MMD, I can tell you, us in the MMD, money is not a factor. Why am I saying money is not a factor? We are the mother of democracy in this country. So we understand what the democracy norms are. All our 4 presidents, including the current president, came from humble backgrounds. They were not rich people, they were not tycoons here and there, but because they had They had the heart to save this country. That's why they were elected from the party and to the Republican level. What we are pushing in the MMD, what Dr. Mumba is offering the people of Zambia is politics of morality and integrity. When we talk about money, when we push the money agenda forward all the time, we as a country, we as a youth, we as the people of Zambia are not going anywhere. I'll give you a practical example. About 3 years ago, we had some leadership crisis in the MMD. There was a group of former members of the party who had money, who believed that because they had money, they can buy the party. Who believed that because they had money, they can be called party president. What did we and Dr. Mumba do? We went to court. Whilst our friends were having conventions beneath funny trees in Kawe, we went to court. I can tell you that what we did, right now, they are still crying. We won the case. We didn't use, we used a bit of money with our lawyers, and we in fact, we even made more money because we won with costs. So the notion, yes, like he mentioned, like my colleague mentioned from the UPND, money is needed, like for nominations, money is needed for banners, money is needed for posters, but we as young people should not put money as the foundation of politics. That is why we've come up with this leadership school, because I've got colleagues of mine who approach me, my brother, you must be rich. You're the deputy SG of MMD. How did you reach that level? I'm like, because of the service that I have to offer to the party. Because I can tell you, I work for the MMD, but I'm not even on a salary. Even my young wife complains at times that, baby, do something. No, baby, we've got a country to save.
Thank you so much. Back to you, Victor. Victor, you talked about young people, or a young person like you, being a person who can invest into social and digital media and be able to convince young people to believe in your ideas. Also on social media, when you talk about social media and when you talk about digital media, you are talking about propaganda. And today young people have been accused of being the ones in the forefront of propelling propaganda. Are young people good at propelling propaganda and using their energies in propaganda and convincing young people of believing in them because of propaganda and not having the idea of influencing positive change in political parties and the nation at large?
Right, thank you very much. Let me back up a bit, and I would like to believe that I probably was misquoted to say that you could run for politics in this country as a young person without money. I may have said it like that, or to mean like that, but what I actually mean is that money is not everything. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the need to succeed with money has been created by those people who are perpetuating their stay in political offices, all right? Because they know that for me to continue serving in this office, I must not keep a level playing field. What do? I will corrupt the structures, I will corrupt the people. I will keep the people poor. I will not take the services to the poor. So that when the time for election comes, they'll come and beg. And the young person who they beg from will not be able to give them, and they'll just move away from that person and come to me. That is the premise on which I stood when I delivered that point. And, let me just quickly perhaps summarize the contributions of the two colleagues from MMD and PF. It is true.
UPND.
From the United Party for National Development and the New Hope MMD. You see, truth is truth. We cannot run away from it. And why we cannot run away from it is because we have to confront it in order for us to move forward. The situation that has been created on the ground right now practically throws the young off the rails to participate in politics. But I'm calling upon the young people, saying, do not be scared because you do not have the money. You, of course, have to stand on a ground where you are able to take care of yourself, take care of the family, but come to politics, bring those ideas because they are the ones that are necessary for the development of this country. Truth be told, you must stand with or without money. Go and look for money. Yes, it is needed. But with or without money, we are not going to allow this country to be taken over by people who simply because they can go and ask a Chinese or they can go and ask a Russian or a Cuban to give them money, then they'll take over the country. One day in this country, we will have a stone to run for presidency because that stone has money. It will take over the country.
Thank you so much, Victor. Mainda, young people have also been accused of, championing propaganda. If you ask those that are in the older generation, will tell you to say young people are just good at propaganda. They don't have anything to offer. We can't entrust the leadership of the country in the hands of the young people because these people are overexcited, and as a result, they are good at propaganda. That is a notion that is coming from the older generation. How do you do with such as a young person and an aspiring candidate?
What's wrong with propaganda, comrade? Unless we understand the word propaganda to mean two different things. Propaganda is simply the advancement of an idea to a definite end. All campaign is propaganda. Okay?
The MMD lost it to a political party that had no clear message. Their message was propaganda.
Yes.
Telling people things that they can't do. So young people are telling people, so when you vote for me, I'll be able to create jobs. When a young person has got no capacity
you have to differentiate, jobs. Comrade. Propaganda is not lies. Propaganda is simply the packaging of a message to get you from point A to point B. So, and that's all it is.
So if I can tell youths in Kamwala to say I've got the capacity to employ all of you, I'm advancing my project from point A to point B.
That's a lie. That's no propaganda. That's a lie. Propaganda, comrade. Let's understand this with propaganda. That's why even in our structures as the UPND, in the Department of Information and Publicity, there is what we have an IPS for media. We also have an IPS for propaganda. Okay, media to do with the kind of things that you do here at Muvi. Dissemination of information. Propaganda to do with packaging of a message for us in order to convince the Zambian people that UPND is the right party for the time that we are in. So if young people are good at propaganda, that is very well. If they are good at using social media, that is very well. After all, what do you expect most of the young people to be doing when most of them are unemployed? They have to be there on Facebook, ensuring to say that they tell the PF, they tell the ruling government to say they are not happy with what they are doing. And if by doing that they expose scandals such as the fire tenders, scandals such as Mukula, scandals such as inflated roads and inflated toll gates, that's not propaganda. That is simply truth. So I would also like to encourage young people out there to engage in propaganda, constructive propaganda, propaganda that exposes all the things that are wrong with this country, propaganda that exposes all the things that have to be done in this country. And notwithstanding the fact that we might, as young people, we are challenged with issues of resources, it cannot be an idea that it cannot be a stand, or rather a point for you not to stand. Because at the end of the day, and we are fortunate, those of us who are in urban areas and peri-urban areas, because at least the level of understanding in urban areas, the level of education of the youths in urban areas is acceptable and is friendly. If you go to rural areas, where my comrade went to stand there, people there, the only language that they understand is seed, fertilizer, chitenge, milimiu. That's the language that they understand. And it's very easy to hoodwink them, and it's very easy to buy their vote. So if you are a candidate in the rural area, if you are a candidate in Mwasawombwe, if you are a candidate at Chirubi Island, you are young and you don't have money. You saw the adoption scandal which took place that side. I mean, the social media buzz, young people were blessed to say, how come we don't have a young candidate that side? Those are real issues that exist in political parties. And I would like to say that as the UPND, we are turning a corner, and I'm proud to say that even of the 38 councillors that are aspiring in Lusaka, the average age is 28, and none of us are millionaires.
Thank you.
So there is hope, real hope for the future.
Thank you so much, Mainda. I'll be coming back to that. Gregory, you said you lost issues of money is neither here nor there. To a certain degree, you agreed. And you said that if money was a factor, then 2011 would have won or retained power or continued in power. But you lost to a political party that had no money, that had no banners, but only had propaganda. With young people are known to be the ones in the forefront, championing propaganda. Mainda says there's nothing wrong with propaganda. How do you do with that as a Deputy National Secretary of the New Hope MMD?
Thank you very much, Comrade. We, as the MMD, we don't believe in propaganda. We don't believe in constructive propaganda and constructive propaganda, because if you look down history, the only nation or the only person who had a department of propaganda was Hitler. So it's very unfortunate that our colleagues from here, from the other side, have a department. I'm not calling them names or anything per se, but we as the MMD, what we are pushing is politics of morality and integrity. If you can't do something, don't lie. Just we will not do this. If you can't change Zambia in 90 days, don't promise people, don't promise heaven on earth in 90 days. That is what we're saying. We are the mother of democracy. Even the time when we formed government in 1991, what we promised the people of Zambia is what we did. Zambia had debt of over $7.5 billion. We promised the people of Zambia to clear it, and we eventually cleared it. Zambia today has debt of over $30 billion. We are promising them that what we did in 1991, we shall do it next year. I have mentioned that in my election as Deputy SG, I never used money. I never used propaganda. I told them what I would do. And just recently, I was coming from Kawe the past week, we had a planning meeting as a party. I had provincial leaders. These are people who are in their 60s, 70s, some of them approaching me that, young man, we love your energy. We love the direction you're taking this party to. We love your ideas. Politics is all about ideas. Our founder president, Dr. Chilwa, said that politics is all about ideas. Elections are all about ideas. Let the best idea win, and let's convince people. Let us not push lies. Young people on social media have been put in that corner because of the older generation. It is the older generation that believed in propaganda. It is the older generation that believed in lies. I know some of my colleagues, some young people who do things based on some orders of some other people. And some people in my party who are going around the country misleading people that the Butane will do this and that based on propaganda. But those boys were sent. And it's open gossip who sent them. We will not say that those boys are the makers of that propaganda. No. It is the older generation that is pushing that agenda. That is why I myself, I can never leave the MMD. I'm happy to be in the MMD because I'm in a party that does not believe in corruption. I'm in a party that believes in morality. I'm in a party that believes in politics which are equal for all. If my party was based on money, Dr. Mumba would not have been president when he came back in 2012. We had billionaires who ran for presidents. In 1991, Dr. Chilo would have never been president. We had billionaires in 1991 who aspired for president. So for us as the MMD and I as the Deputy SG, anyone in my party who pushes propaganda is on the verge of being expelled using my office.
Thank you so much. Victor, young people are also accusing the older generation to say these people have continued to be in power, they have continued to be in positions of influence, and it seems as if they are not ready to hand over power to young people. What do you think is making the older generation or our parents not ready to hand over power to young people whom you've said they have got all what it takes to propel this country to another level?
Fantastic. Let me start by of course, entering into what my colleague from the UPND said. I would like to believe, and I would suggest that we take the view that propaganda, yes, is information intended to communicate a particular campaign message, but in its concoction, in its creation, in its delivery, propaganda is information loaded with an element of subjectivity that intends to compel people not an element of subjectivity. That is devoid of objectivity. It is not entirely clean information that is communicated to the people. That is what I would like to believe as propaganda. And of course, people use it, and
it has worked for people.
And it has worked.
And it has continued to
and
work.
It continues to work.
People.
It continues to work.
So it's not a bad thing.
It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. We must communicate information. Joseph Goebbels, who the brother referred to, the propagandists of propagandists in Germany, was serving the purpose of hoodwinking people, communicating things that at first value looked positive, but were actually carried negative communication, but intended to capture the minds of people. Now, going back to that question, that's a very important question. There are two main reasons that I would like to attribute the predicament we find ourselves in. Having leaders that are not willing to leave office is a predicament indeed. And there are two reasons. The first reason is the motive of entering government is a questionable motive. And secondly, there is no plan. Most of our leaders do not have succession plans, and we have seen this. You realize that a party will be there, and the only person that is allowed to aspire for presidency is the person who is the president. That is the problem. If our leaders would be a president today, if Comrade Stephen Nyirenda decides to be a president today, tomorrow he must already have next in line. He must already identify among his people who looks to have an agenda. There may be many people, and say, okay, you look like you have the potential. You want to be a leader. This is the best way to go about it. All right, and begin to support those people. In short, we must have a leadership development program in every political party. It is very dangerous, extremely dangerous, and it creates monsters who become dictators at the end of the day. We have seen this, and there's no hiding. In some parties, all right, in some parties, you do not aspire for presidency. Once you do that, you are a threat to the president. And so, after that person is, when the term reaches, you say, no, it was not my term. I want another term.
Thank you so much, Victor. Your 3 minutes is up. Mainda, what do you think is making our parents, the older generation, not willing to usher in young people into positions of influence? Victor has just mentioned to say the first point is these people in the venture into leadership, their motive is not clean. Also, he has talked about the issue of having a succession plan and also a school to nurture and groom these people. I've asked this question because you've got people who are older than you, and you've continued to serve them, even if you have what it takes to be a leader.
Thank you for that question, Comrade Chokolo. Before I tackle it, just allow me to make a short rebuttal on this issue of propaganda. We are living in an internet age, so I just quickly Googled propaganda on Wikipedia, a very reliable source, and it simply says propaganda is the form of communication to distribute information. The information is often political. As simple as that. Where is the malice in that? Maybe we should find an Oxford or Webster's dictionary if my comrades here are not convinced about that. And for my comrade here from the MMD, I think if there is any political party with a history of propaganda, lies, and deception, it's the MMD. May his soul rest in peace, the first president of MMD, Chiluba. Who could beat that man at propaganda? Who could beat that man at lies? He was called the master dribbler. Even the founding father of the PF, may his soul rest in peace, Michael Sata. Who could beat him at propaganda? And look what that did for them. You know, politics is not church, okay? When he talks about morality and integrity, I think then he should resign from politics if he's talking about morality. No, let me qualify that. There are certain standards, or rather codes of conduct in politics that cannot literally be aligned which cannot literally align to what you would call moral values. I'll give you an example. You have a limited budget, okay? Do you spend it on healthcare or do you spend it on education? If you're going to say you're going to spend it on education, those that the people who are in hospitals who are dying are going to call you the devil. If you spend it on healthcare, not education, they'll say you are not contributing to the development of youth. So there are always dilemmas in politics, and you have to make difficult choices. By the way, the first Republican president of, the first president of the MMD, Chiluba, authored a book called Difficult Choices. So it is those difficult choices that make you as a politician either loved or hated from certain sectors of a community. Not everybody can love you. That is why politics, by its very nature, is divisive. There is always going. That's why we are called opposition. Okay? We are called opposition for a reason. Because there is always a force that is proposing and the force that is opposing. There is a force that is ruling and that one which is seeking to rule. So we must embrace what we are calling propaganda. And coming back to your question of people, or rather, yes, coming back to the question of people refusing to leave, old people refusing to leave politics, I mean, why should they leave? Politics is an open space for competition of ideas. If they are still willing to compete, you as a young person, you should rise to the occasion and show to say that you have got what it takes to be better than that person who's an old leader. Look at the President of the United States, Joe Biden. How old is he? 80. Where are the American youth? Have you heard any American youth who's saying, no, President Joe Biden is too old or President Trump was too old? No, they are looking at the quality and the caliber of the leader. And that's why I said in my preamble to say, I'm not one of those youths who say because I'm young, because I'm 18, I should lead. I don't even pride myself as a young politician. In fact, I try to run away from that tag of being a young politician, because when you are called young in politics, it is as well as being called immature.
Thank you so much. Gregory, you don't have to rule out propaganda, because your party, according to Mainda, is known to be one of the most political parties that has embraced and championed propaganda. And he has given an example of the founding president of MMD to say no one could have beaten the late when it comes to propaganda. So propaganda is welcome because you practice propaganda. What is it that has changed for you to say those youths who are in MMD who want to champion propaganda, then the door is open and they are on their way out of MMD?
Thank you very much. In the first place, his assumption that the late President Chilwa was a master dribbler, that's hearsay. It's like me giving an example of some president and calling him this and that. Yes, in the MMD, we do accept that in the past we had some problems. That's why we lost. We do accept that at one point of time, when we were in government, we believed that campaigns with money are not the message, was the best way to communicate the people of Zambia. The people of Zambia rejected the MMD that had money. The people of Zambia rejected the MMD that started believing in what the founder members of the party were against. It's very shocking that my brother can elude that morality and integrity are supposed to remain in the church. That is why we are at this point in Zambia. That is why you can have a minister who can challenge the Auditor General's report. In a developed country, that minister would have resigned on moral grounds. We can have a minister who's linked to so many deals, but can still go to court in a ministerial vehicle without resigning, paving way for investigation. That is what we believe morality and integrity is. We believe that when something is wrong, it is wrong. That is why we are not going into the propaganda way of saying, no, we add some flavor to this. That is why we're saying, as we believe in morality and integrity, we will not add cream to what we're pushing for. Coming to your question on young people accusing the older generation of holding on to power, in the MMD, that is not happening in the MMD. In my preamble, I've said I'm a young person. When MMD was formed 30 years ago, I was born 30 years ago. My father was a founder member of the MMD. Look at me now. I know he's late, but wherever he is, he's happy. And that is why we are continuing with the leadership school that President Chilwa started, so that more youths can take up leadership positions. That is why our National Executive Committee has deliberately come up with a policy of where 50%.
So you're saying that the older generation is not clinging on to power?
Not in the MMD. Maybe in other parties, I'm not too sure, because I've never been a member of any other party apart from the MMD. But in the party that I was born in, the MMD, that is not. If that was the case, President Rupiah Banda would have still been president right now. If that was the case, we would have had a number of people, the VJs, the Mbitas would have still been. But because they believe in democracy, they believe that for us in the MMD, we believe that leadership or governance is a relay. You run your race, then you hand over. Yes, I accept with what my brother said, that some other people want to save, but I think there's more to life than politics. There are other things to life, yes.
Thank you so much. Victor, Mainda brought in the issue of integrity and morality. As a young person, as a young politician, or as an emerging politician, do you believe in integrity and morality when it comes to politics?
Right, yes. You may say as a upcoming politician, but you see, you can do politics at different levels. And what I can say is you've been doing this thing for a very long time.
Do you believe in integrity and morality?
Anything that is devoid of integrity is evil. Anything that is devoid of morality and integrity is evil. And in most cases becomes illegal. So, if anybody wants to be a politician, anybody wants to save. Mind you, a politician is basically a manager of the people. A politician is a manager of the systems that people have put in place now. If you allow someone who is willing to compromise his integrity to run for office, if you allow someone who is willing to front propaganda to be a leader, you are destined for doom as a country. And it is very important that we say every politician must prepare their ideas and communicate them. And it is only the capability of that person plus his ideas that should warrant his election to office. If today we say that because you have money, because you are able to lie, because you can speak many languages, then you shall be a president, we are headed for doom. I stand here and say, calling upon all the young people that desire to be in politics, that you can communicate your idea, you can make deals, political deals, without compromising your integrity. The moment that you see someone, especially from opposition, the moment you see someone from opposition compromising their integrity to remain in power or to be able to seek office, just know that person is not ready to lead that nation. That person is not ready to make a law. Imagine making laws without integrity. I will make a law that makes sure that I'm taken care of. What about the generations that are coming behind me? You are making laws devoid of integrity because you are taking people to parliament who lack integrity, who are not willing to say the truth. You are sending people around to go and campaign about butane, and that is what propaganda is. Advancing the goodness of butane, knowing the evil exists in butane, that is propaganda, because that good you are saying, it may be the truth, but there is evil behind it. And that's what propaganda is. Propaganda is not just a communication to say to someone, I want to be voted for because I can make someone's life better. No, that is not propaganda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor. As we are winding down, gentlemen, Mainda, you are the one who brought in the issue of propaganda, now the issue of integrity. And Mofu said we are where we are today because of the people that we have in the leadership, that they lack integrity. And you say this is not a change.
Mr. Moderator, I think a misunderstanding of language or misunderstanding of different words to mean different things cannot reconcile us. Because I've just read for you, an authority on Wikipedia on the meaning of propaganda. It's like my comrades here don't have ears. Maybe they don't have ears.
Of integrity and morality.
Integrity and morality.
You said this is politics, not a church.
I didn't say morality and integrity shouldn't be upheld as values. I didn't say that. What I did say is that if you are going to go into politics, you must understand that it's a field of competition of ideas. And my comrade here stood as Monsabongwe aspiring MP. What message did he take that was different from the 6 other people that were competing in that election to advance his agenda of being elected?
There was a lot different, trust me.
Huh? You see, that's propaganda. He's already telling us to say that he was the most ideal candidate, and that's the way it is. But coming back to the point back to the point of this debate, honestly, in this country, I think we face a lot of challenges as youths, and I've said some of those challenges are economic. In terms of finances, we can't run away from that. I wish there was a way we could escape the trap of finances in politics, but it continues to exist and is a fact that we can't run away from. So what we can do, the best that we can do as upcoming leaders who are vying for office, is to ensure to say that when we do get into positions of power and authority, we change the rules of the game. Because right now the rules of the game are that you have to pay to play. Before you even go into the field, you have to pay your participation fee to ECZ, and ECZ just keeps on using youths as a fundraiser. Already they have created a barrier for you to participate as a youth. From ECZ, you go back to your ward or your constituency, or maybe to the nation if you're standing as a president. You also find all kinds of costs that are associated with you mobilizing. All those things combined together make it difficult for you to participate. But that should not be a reason for you as a youth to shy away from leadership. Because politics, I know you said in your preamble to say politics has been referred to as a dirty game. Yeah. Politics is not a dirty game, Comrade Fokolo. Politics is a matter of life and death. The politician that you elect is somebody you are electing to formulate public policy. If they make the wrong decisions in education, if they make the wrong decisions in healthcare, if they make the wrong decisions as far as investment for the little resources you have as a country is concerned, you end up with people dying in hospitals like UTH where there are no drugs, but it's full of infested rats. You end up having vehicles overturning on roads that are made by Chinese, which are as thin as a slipper, and whenever it rains, they are washed away, and you have accidents. In short, if you are a politician and you go in and you don't want to, if you are a youth and you don't want to participate in politics, rather, you are not providing a solution, but rather you are becoming part of the problem. And finally, Comrade Fokolo, I want also to appeal to my fellow youths. I know the circumstances for registering as a voter are very difficult, but please continue registering, and you will continue fighting to ensure to say that we level the playing field in terms of registration.
Thank you
ECZ won't meet the 9 million. And we are calling for an extension.
Thank you so much. Gregory, as we wind down, your concluding remarks
okay,
on the topic of discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. It's very unfortunate that here my brother can allege that he never said that morality and integrity should not remain in the church. You know, as young people, you know, when we're on camera, we should learn to stick to what we say. It's better you apologize and withdraw your statement that I think I made a mistake. I was trying to attack somebody from the church who is into politics. But our colleagues in Malawi have done that. They've elected a reverend as president, and have elected a former ruling party. And I can assure you that the people of Zambia will go the Malawi way next year and elect Dr. Mumba, who is a reverend, and MMD, a former ruling party. Now coming back, morality and integrity are a must in politics. If we are to go anywhere right now, my brother from NAREP has hit the nail on the head. We are where we are because our leaders, current leaders, lack integrity. There is no way under the first link Zambia, 400, a sustainable road like Chingola Sorowezi Road was not done. But some people went to do a road somewhere near my village, Mbemba, so I will not mention. And the only economic activity there is that people dry fish, which will bring more GDP. Drying fish on a tar road, which is worth $1.2 million per kilometer, or transporting copper from Rumwana and FQM, worth billions of dollars. There was no morality, there was no integrity in there. So what we as MMD are saying, and Ibangokude remarks, is saying that young people should choose and associate themselves with people who appreciate them, people who will not see them as tools of violence, people who will not see them as voting tools, people who will not see them as campaigning tools, but people who see them as partners of development. I alluded that in some parties, there is no youth at national executive level. Even in cabinet, there's no youth. That is why the PF are giving 120 kwacha as youth empowerment in the next year's budget, because there's no youth as a cabinet minister.
Thank you so much, Gregory. Victor, your concluding remarks, I can give you under a minute.
Thank you very much. Fellow countrymen, fellow young people in politics, I am calling you upon to go and register to vote. Register to vote because the president that will win the 2021 election will be a president that we will decide. We have over 50% as voters in our age group. Therefore, let's stand up, we go and vote. Please, at all costs, fellow young people, the moment you hear a politician say, "Ushainenkaria integrity," shy away. Let's bring politics of integrity to the country.
Thank you so much. Many thanks to those of you that have been watching and following the fearless debate on the channel of choice Muvi television Monday. Today, Monday, the 30th of November. I had Gregory Mofu, Deputy National Secretary, New Hope, or Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD. I also had Mainda, Simaata, who is Kabwata, Constituency, United Party for National Development, UPND, Information and Publicity Secretary, who is also an aspiring candidate for Kamwala Wat. And also Victor Musangu, who is the losing parliamentary candidate for Musangu, where he's coming from the NAREP and NAREP party, working in the office of the president. Gentlemen, many thanks to you, and hope you make it a habit of coming to Plantok and featuring on different programs on Muvi television. Wishing you all the best as you continue to offer checks and balances in your political parties and the nation at large.
Thank you.
My name is Kelvin Tapula, Chief Focal on behalf of Plantok Group. Until we meet next week, if this is when you've just joined us, wasangana today. Good night.
Comments, Mike. I could see there that
Zambia, the home of copper. This is Zambia, this is the nation. Yeah. Give us, give us.